Oh, because there was
Hi,
Spooky Tooth
Stephen
before
Lynch,
that.
and
That's
you
right.
are listening to Heard It on the X.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to the East Coast Premier Music Talk Show. Rudy Sarzo interview. He was great.
He's phenomenal. He's been on some big tours, done some phenomenal
He's a
things.
really nice guy, too. I run into him at the NAMM show. He did extensive work with Peavey. Always kind of played Peavey basses, which Peavey's not super known for their basses, but he really had a great relationship with Peavey. And it was cool, and that's a great book, Off the Rails, Tribute to Randy Rhoads, and get that book. Right now, I want to welcome our good friend Jim Ehinger. Hi, Jimmy.
How's it going?
It's cool.
Peavey bass, really?
Peavey bass, yeah. He plays Peavey Fury. I think he was the guy who put Peavey on the map for their basses, to be honest with you.
Well, somebody had to do it.
Yeah, and Peavey wasn't really known for making
No.
bass equipment, but
They make a great keyboard amp, by the way.
they make a lot of really
The KB 300 is one.
KB300s are good amps. Now, Peavey makes a lot of cool stuff, and I've always wondered. And this is a side story, but Hartley Peavey is hands down the wealthiest guy in the music industry as far as MI equipment goes. But he gets very little respect. It's crazy. I mean, he's an American success story. Started the company by himself. He's owned it himself. Him and Jim Marshall are the only two guys that I think still own their companies, and he gets no respect. He's an incredible American, and he's a true American. I mean, there's been a lot of cases. Most recently with their plastic blow mold speakers, where he could have shipped them off to China. He searched around and found a company that came close enough in the States to make the plastic blow mold, and does it in the States.
Yeah, I think I might have mentioned to you once that the guy who invented the drum machine was a guitar player in my first band in L.A.
Yeah, you did.
Roger Lynn.
No kidding.
So I kind of know how that works.
Yeah.
Try to find it. He actually was producing them in his apartment.
The drum machines?
Yeah, he was putting them together, and he had guys, musician friends that I knew that were making extra money.
It's funny though. In Hartley's case, he just gets very little respect in the industry.
Well, Rogers, we built the company, sold the company, then they had a disaster. I think it had to do with a Fleetwood Mac record where the whole thing crashed and lost all the drum tracks.
Oh. It was probably that Tusk album. I remember them using extensive drum machines on that Tusk album.
Yeah, so anybody that can make their way through that jungle, they deserve a lot.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and still to own Leo Fender sold his company only a few years in.
We're really digressing. I didn't mean to do this, but I was working for Roland at a couple of NAMM shows, and representing their products, and they had come out with the Roland Rhodes series for keyboards.
Right.
And of course, do you remember Leo Rhodes? Is that his name? No, this is Leo Fender. I can't remember his first name. But anyway, the guy
came out with the
guy who
Rhodes
invented
piano.
the Rhodes
Yeah.
piano, and he had nothing to do with it. They just bought the name. That's all they did was buy the logo. And so these people are coming up to me that knew him personally, and by then he would have been, I don't know, in his 70s or something. I don't know.
Right.
And they're telling me stories, about it. Well, is he here? I wanted to say, and he had nothing to do with the product. Literally nothing. But I talked to some of these people, and I came to find out that he thought the Fender Rhodes was a huge failure. He was actually trying to recreate the sound of acoustic piano, which it is nothing like.
Nothing at all like. Yeah, Fender Rhodes, for those listening out there, is the distinct tone, even though I don't think it was done on the Rhodes, is the Doors.
Stevie Wonder, too.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, but Stevie Wonder.
The Doors, Ray Manzarek, is that?
Yeah.
He might have used a Wurlitzer.
Yeah, there was Wurlitzer, there was some acoustic piano, there was a lot of things in the studio.
And a lot of people think that what I say is done on a Rhodes, but it's actually done on a Wurlitzer. But it's that electronic piano.
I think Stevie Wonder would be the
he was the big guy.
Herbie Hancock. Sunshine of My Love or something. Oh, Herbie Hancock. Oh, yeah. I can tell you Herbie Hancock stories.
So let's do this really quick.
Wait a minute,
Okay.
I want he was talking about
Rudy was.
Yeah, about Ozzy and Sharon and what nice people they were. Somehow, I bet it doesn't show up on my Google resume that I worked with Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold in a band.
Oh, really?
And when he was talking about that, I thought, yeah, because you didn't know what you were walking into because of the notoriety, and she was a big star at the time, and nobody knew exactly what his role was.
Right.
I mean, who was this guy or whatever? And they were so charming.
They were good people?
Yeah, it was, because you kind of want, is this guy like a gravy trainer, or what's going on? I mean,
Gold digger.
And is she like just a nut or whatever? Or is she? And she was extremely intelligent, and so was he, and they were very much endeared to each other. You know,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Now let me ask you this: we left last week on a cliffhanger, and you were just to the Milli Vanilli story, and we had to dump out of it.
Yeah. I'm gonna try my best.
So let's find out.
Let's go back. You know, here's the story.
I want to refresh people's memory out there, though.
Go ahead.
Jim is a Buffalo musician who, on top of playing with Roseanne Barr and Tom Arnold and people like Bob
Two
Dylan.
phenomenal. I know. He started out. He's played with so many people.
Bob
and you open
Dylan,
up.
Roseanne Barr.
Yeah, Bob Dylan, Roseanne Barr, John Fogerty. I mean, you've done a lot of things. You were the piano coach on Great Balls of Fire, the movie about Jerry Lee Lewis, which Jerry Lee Lewis and really nobody I don't think was a big fan of. That's a great story too that I want to get into. But we were talking about your time at the China Club where you had arranged these pro jams. Just kind of something to do on Monday nights. You did it in New York City. When they moved the club to California, they tapped you first to see if you would be interested in doing it there. So you said, "What the heck?" At that jam, you know, Bruce Springsteen, Prince, Sting, Elton John, multiple people have come in, and we're to the point now where Milli Vanilli, who were from the outside looking in, I mean, everybody knows the story now that they were outed, but at one point they had won Grammys for Best Album and Best Single. The American Music Awards, they were starting to get outed now, and they had stopped at the China Club. So take it from there and tell me where we're at.
That's where we're picking up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about their Grammy history, but I do know that they came over from winning Best Vocalists Awards at the American Music Awards. And the background is that they had been determined to prove that they could really sing. And they hadn't sung on the records. They were studio singers. Now, I didn't know that was a secret. I thought everybody knew that. But so they came over, and it was a Monday night, and they said, "Look, we're going to go sing." Now, I'll give you where I come into the story, because this is kind of like how it worked. We would plan whatever we planned, but then people would show up. So somebody from the management would come over and say, "Hey, so-and-so's here, Elton John's here, or, you know, Springsteen's here, or whatever. We got to do, you know," and we'd have to throw our, you know, program away or whatever. You had to deal with that.
Sure.
And so I'm on a break, and we go down into the lower level, the super secret lower level where things get done. And they introduced me to these two guys, Rob and Fab. And that's my first interaction with this. Now, it turns out, I found out later from people that they had been at the club working the room trying to figure out how to get on stage. And for reasons that I'm not going to have time to explain here, although if we get to the Slash story, you'll understand, I took complete control over who got on stage and who didn't, because otherwise it was just going to be this complete
A menagerie,
mess,
nightmare, yeah.
you know. And eventually they were told, well, you have to go through him. You know, well, how do I get through him? You know, they're buying, by the way, they're buying people they're talking to bottles of Cristal champagne at like $300 a pound, just trying to find out how to get on stage. You know, and so eventually...
Was it that they just didn't understand the concept, or they...
Well, they had no idea.
Were they already outsiders? I mean, at this point?
Well, outsiders in what sense?
I mean, you guys were all industry guys, were you...
No, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the logistics of every Monday
They
night.
just couldn't figure it out.
Well, who would know?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, you can't... It wasn't an open jam. I mean,
right.
You know, there were, you know, we were trying to keep the level, you know, high to keep it successful. You know, so we're on a break, and I get buttonholed, and it's like, "Hey, Milli Vanilli here," and I go, "Okay, great." Well, so we go into this little secret room downstairs, and I go, "Well, you know, well, okay, great. What, you know, well, what do you guys want to do?" You know, and then they said, "Well, we were thinking about All Right Mama by Elvis." And I said, "Well, okay, we can do that. That's no problem." I said, "Well, what key do you do it?" And they look at each other, and they're German, by the way.
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, we don't know what key it is in English." And I said, "Oh, so that's okay. Actually, I speak a little German. Why don't you give me what the key is in German?" And they look at each other and they go, "Well, we don't really know what the key is in German either."
So basically, they don't know what key it is.
But they want to do That's All Right, Mama. And I said, "Well, yeah. I mean, you know, I mean, this isn't going to possibly establish the high quality that we're used to, but what the heck? Let's just see what happens here." I mean, well, I couldn't say no, the management would have killed me. So we go up on stage and we start That's All Right Mama. And I had a very, we can't lay the background on this, but I had a very strict policy about who got on and off stage. Well, that, I gotta tell you that dike breached. Man, I don't know, within 5 minutes, I don't know where all these people came from. There must have been 25, 30 people on stage. I don't know whether, there was like an 80-year-old woman.
Just audience, just people from the
I
audience?
have no idea. And like 16-year-old girls. I don't know what they've been up to and who they brought with them or why or whatever. But, you know, and it was one of 2 or 3 times, maybe 3 times total, where it just all broke down.
No kidding.
And they're up there singing, and they've ripped their shirts off, and they're jumping around, and they're barking into the microphones, and the crowd is standing there. I'm trying to describe this like they're a totally up for anything crowd who's seen it all at this point, are standing there with their arms folded and their jaws dropped. You know, like the overcapacity 600, 800, 900 people, as we talked about last week, just standing there staring at them, and they are completely unfazed, and they're going through this. They're jumping, they're running around, and they start clapping. You know, that's all right, Mom. You'd want to go, that's all right, Mama. Yeah, but they're going, that's all right, Mama.
Oh, no.
On 1 and 3, you know, the famous Ronald Reagan 1 and 3 at the you know, at the black church, you know, and it was 1 or 2 times in my life that I actually pulled a muscle by trying to restrain laughter, because I caught the eye of my percussionist, Debbie Dobkin, and who was working with Bonnie as were the rhythm section at that time, and we're just like all looking around. I catch her eye, and she mouths to me from all the way across the stage. She mouths 1 and 3.
So they have the.
And I can't take it anymore, you know? I mean, I just cracked up. And so the whole thing just turned into this carnival. I don't even know what to call it. And the song ended, and they all left, the whole stage cleared, and then we went on with whatever it is we went on with. But the next day, there was a paper in L.A. It was called it wasn't the L.A. Times. It was I want to say the Valley News. It was a set like the Courier used to be.
Right.
It's not there anymore. And there was a music critic there, and he had written an article, you know, whatever he was going to normally write. And somehow there was this insert, just a little box insert in his article, and it says, Milli Vanilli demonstrate their inability to sing last night at the China Club. And now he had called me and asked me about it. And I just said, oh, they were fine. You know.
Yeah, what are you going to say?
But he called Debbie Dobkin, the aforementioned Debbie Dobkin, and the drummer, Tony Bronigal, and he had quotes from them, and I don't remember which is which, but one of them was, they couldn't carry a tune in a lunch pail, and the other one was, they couldn't sing their way out of a wet paper bag.
Wow. And that was the beginning of the end.
And that was just in this, you know, like secondary LA thing. Well, this made the international press, and that's what started the whole,
ball rolling.
Exposure. So now I had ran into both those guys, Rob and Fab, at another club, trendy club, that were forced to let me in, just despite their better wishes because of my China Club connections. But anyway, I ran into them and I said, when are you guys going to come back and jam again? And they went, no more jam. The manager says, no more jam. You know? But anyway, so now after that they go back to Europe, and the story is, I think this was in Crawdaddy, that they went into their management in Germany, the producers of their records, and they demanded. They said, if you don't let us sing live on our future records, we're going to tell everybody that it wasn't us and that there were studio singers. And he goes, oh yeah, and he shows him the cover of Crawdaddy, and it says Milli Vanilli exposed. I mean, they had no leverage whatsoever.
Well, they had a series of mishaps happen too, because they used to, I don't know how they played the backing tracks back at that time, if they were on tape or whatever.
I think they were lip singing.
Well, I've seen video of the tape machine screwing up,
Right,
and they
exactly.
just ran off the stage.
Right.
So all that happened all at the same time, and these guys.
Well, it happened with somebody on the Letterman show or something too, didn't it?
Saturday Night Live. It was
Oh, yeah.
Simpson.
Female singer.
Jessica Simpson's sister.
Right,
Ashley
right,
Simpson.
right.
Simpson,
Ashley Simpson,
and it's
same
real
thing.
too.
Yeah.
So it was just, and it's a common occurrence.
And I kept thinking, well, who cares? I mean, people go to their concerts, they have a good time.
I mean, I lip sync the show every week.
You're not even here, which I didn't want
Yeah.
to. I did not want to bring that up.
Everything I say on the show is lip synced.
Generally, you're not. Yeah, generally not. We're just gonna skip the commercial break because I like this conversation anyways.
We don't
so,
need commercials.
So exactly. So the last
You
commercial
don't
break we're
need
just
no
gonna run through.
stinking commercial.
Do you want to join us? Josh is going to do music news, but what I wanted to say is there's going to be a period, we'd like to get you in touch with Joel Selvin, and you can talk about all this, and hopefully in the future we'll hear a book on all these, because there's so much stuff that you have to cover that we just can't cover in an interview.
I can't even. I'm going to tell you, this is the story I should have said that was short.
This last one?
This will be short. So in the early days, and we were kind of setting the tone, a few people had showed up. And the way the stage worked at the China Club was if you were looking at it, the stairs came down stage right, and then it went into a door, and that was actually a vestibule to a stairway that went downstairs. And we didn't have the full horn section yet. We had just started, and they didn't give me the budget for it. So some of the horn players, extra horn players, that ended up being in the band. They're the guys from Chicago and Tower Power and whatever.
Oh, wow.
But a couple of them were waiting for a song to end so that they could come on stage. They weren't part of the band yet, and I had to introduce them. And there was this hot-looking chick in this vestibule, and it's kind of loud, the music's playing, they're waiting, and this one guy, there's Garrett Atkins, a trombone player, and a guy named Joe Sublette, sax player. And Garrett sees this hot chick, and he wants to kind of like hit on her, so he goes, "Hi, I'm getting ready to go on stage here. My name's Garrett." And she goes, "That's nice." He says, "What's your name?" And she goes, "Donna," And he goes, "Yeah, this is my friend Joe. Joe, this is Donna." And she goes, "No, Ma, Donna." He goes, "Okay, just like the singer. That's great. This is my friend Joe." And it was Madonna.
It was Madonna? He didn't even know?
We hadn't quite caught on yet, but I just love that. She goes, "Donna." "No, Ma Donna." He goes, "Oh, great, just like the singer. This is my friend Joe."
That's a great story. I mean, and that's the type of people that came and jammed regularly at this China Club jam.
Yeah, yeah, just about everything.
And then, like I say, the interesting story.
But it was all because the band was so good.
The band was good, exactly.
And they knew who the band was.
And they could come and they could play and they could.
Well, they could trust that it wasn't going to be embarrassing.
Right, exactly.
Unless you're Milli Vanilli.
Who embarrassed you? If
I
I would have been mad
loved
at
it.
them.
Oh, God, I just
What
thought-
key did they do it in?
E.
They didn't.
Well, they didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah, and you just.
I just kicked it off in E.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
I
Just
think
play
I
the
said
song.
something like, "How about the key that Elvis did it in?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they went, "Yeah, that's okay too."
I like the excuse. We don't know what it is in English.
Yeah, right. Well, we don't know what it is in German.
Yeah, we don't know really in any language.
They were a nice guy. I have to say, they were really sweet guys.
And it's a shame what happened to them because they got eaten up and spit out. Really,
Yeah.
the one passed away. One killed himself.
Yeah, and one of them could actually sing. I don't know which was which.
The one tried to have a career,
But actually, was decent. I don't remember who was who.
Yeah, me either. To be honest with you, one of them passed away. They've become that immaterial. They definitely won the Grammys though, because I remember them having to give them back.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they
So
just
it's-
have to return
I
them.
never paid attention
Yeah,
to the Grammys.
yeah. Who pays attention to the Grammys, anyways?